Hey everybody, it's Hoop, it's the Hatening. We're back again. Thank you for joining me once again for another 10-minute rambling session. So today I wanted to kind of talk about the act of listening. You know, I'm sure everyone has heard this before when they're like talking to someone. You know, they'll say like, I know you hear me, but you're not listening to me, type of thing. You know, and I guess like that begs the question, like, are you a good listener? You know, and that's kind of a hard question to ask yourself. I don't think too many people would really want to admit that they're a fucking bad listener, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are, and either they don't know what listening entails, or they just don't want to admit that that's a flaw that they possess. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'll be honest, like, I find myself hearing and not listening a lot. And I have gotten into a lot of arguments and fights and just like negative situations because I wasn't listening to the other person or people or whatever the fuck. And it's hard to do, you know, right? Because listening involves like digesting information and then like applying it to whatever the situation is, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of social factors that like come with the act of listening as opposed to just hearing, right? And there's like active listening and all that stuff. And that, I mean, like, that doesn't only like apply to like when people are talking. Like, there's a difference between like hearing music and listening to music, right? Like, there's like hearing with intent, hearing with a purpose would, I guess, kind of be considered listening. And it's hard sometimes to listen to the things that people want you to listen to, or listen for the things that they want you to listen for. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're having like a serious conversation with someone, and you just don't get it, right? You just didn't pick up on the thing that they wanted you to grasp, the thing that they wanted you to take away from that conversation or that exchange. And then it becomes you're not listening. It's like, well, I thought I was, but I guess I was listening to the wrong stuff, or I interpreted it in a wrong way. And it gets messy. It gets complicated. Like, listening is important for any relationship, any social relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic or professional, just like anything. Like, if you don't know how to listen to people, if you can't listen to people, if you don't listen to people, then you're kind of fucked. If your goal is to have like a halfway decent relationship with anyone or be productive or anything like that. Like, if you want to be a loner, if you want to be like, you know, alone, then I guess you don't have to fucking worry about listening to anything or anyone. And I'm not talking about listening in terms of like someone tells you to do something and you obey them, right? Like, listen to your parents, right? Like, that's not what I mean. I'm talking about just like if someone says something to you, you understand what the fuck they mean, right? Like, that's what I mean by listening. And anyone who's ever been in a relationship or had a fucking job or any of that stuff will know, you know, off the jump, like, if you can't fucking listen, if you don't know how to listen, like, you're fucked. Like, that is an integral part of dealing with other people in any way other than like, you know, surface interactions. Like, there's no way that you're going to have a healthy relationship with literally anybody unless you can listen. And also, they have to listen too, right? Like, a lot of times in interpersonal relationships, like, I know for myself, like, if things aren't going good, I put a lot of the blame on me, right? Like, I put a lot of the blame on myself and my shortcomings and say, well, it can't be their fault because they must have their shit together. I'm not perfect, so it must be me that is, you know, producing these shortcomings in communication. And sometimes it's not. Like, sometimes it, you know, like, the other person isn't listening to you and you might not realize, or you don't want to realize, right? Because who wants to do that, right? Like, you're dating someone for a couple months or a couple years, or, you know, you have a job or you have a best friend, and then you realize that they don't fucking listen. Like, they don't listen to you. They have no way of like really comprehending what you say or what you mean. There's a breakdown in communication, right? Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's their fault. But like, having to realize that like you're in any type of social relationship with someone who just like can't or won't listen to you, it fucking hurts, and it's really hard to come to terms with, because then you have to either sacrifice your relationship or like a lot of like your sense of self. You know what I'm saying? But like, growing up growing older, one of the things that we all need to be very cognizant of is our ability to listen, and to actively listen and critically listen, because it just becomes more and more important. There's more on the line the older you get, right? And especially when your life gets entangled in other people's stuff, right? And the older you get, the more you have to lose. And a very easy way to sour a relationship is through a lack of communication based on one or both parties not being able to listen to each other and understand what they mean, right? So I ask again, like, are you a good listener? Like, honestly, think about like your social relationships. Think about like your romantic relationships, your best friends, all that stuff. Like, are you a good listener? Like, do you actually pay attention when they talk? Or do you just hit them with them, while you're on your phone? And I'm not like poking fun or pointing fingers at anybody, because like I definitely do that with some people. I find myself after it's too late doing that to people who matter in situations that matter, and then I have to, suffer the consequences. On the other hand, like you notice pretty quickly when someone isn't listening to you, when someone isn't paying attention to you, and it hurts and it's frustrating. And that's when problems arise. That's when fights happen, when communication breaks down. Or maybe communication doesn't break down because there was never any healthy communication to begin with, so you're just fucked, and that happens too. But yeah, like, are you a good listener? Like, are you really? Like, do you think that you're a good listener? Do you have the results to back that up, to support your claim that you are a good listener? I don't know anyone who is 100% like a good listener across the board. I know a lot of people who can choose to be with certain people in certain situations. I think now there's a lot of distractions in our life. There's a lot of internal and external factors that play into someone's ability to listen. But it's just something that I have noticed the older I've gotten, and the more diverse my friend groups have become. I'm interacting with all types of different people from all types of different places, different ages, different backgrounds, blah, 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 blah. And like, you can tell very quickly when people listen to you, when people don't. Like, you can really tell when people give a shit about what you're saying, or when they don't, or when people are just distracted. But I mean, that's it. That's the episode. If you like The Hatening, please like and subscribe. It means the world to Andrew and I. You can find The Hatening on all social media platforms. From there, you can find the individual profiles for myself and Andrew. Hit us up. We like when people do that. But yeah, take care of yourself and the people around you, and don't forget to tell your friends you love them.